The majority of pleasures are in holiness, while we see the contrary at in corporality. Everyone sees things that can be enjoyed, but in the toil in Torah and commandments, it is impossible to tell a person to engage in commandments without promising him reward for his work. This is because while one engages in keeping the commandments, he finds it completely tasteless, but when he's promised a reward, and he believes it, then he can work in Torah and commandments, because he will be rewarded. This is not so when he engages in corporeal things such as eating, drinking, money, honor, etc. A person does not ask, why must I deal with these mundane matters? Since where one feels pleasure, he doesn't ask about the purpose of receiving the pleasure. All he can think about while receiving the pleasure is how to enhance the pleasure in quantity and quality. And God forbid that one should ever contemplate the matter of receiving the pleasure, meaning, why do I need to receive pleasure? Sometimes a person receives pleasure from something for which he did not pay a thing. Although it gives him much pleasure, the question still arises in him. What is the purpose of that pleasure? For example, a pleasure that costs no money is the pleasure of rest. There is no need to buy this pleasure, for one receives it free of charge. Still, many times a person asks himself, what will I gain by enjoying this rest? But when a person experiences true delight and pleasure, the purpose of this delight never even occurs to him. And if it does happen that he should contemplate the purpose of this pleasure that he is enjoying now, it is a sign that the pleasure he is feeling is not real pleasure, since he can still contemplate its purpose. This is a sign that there is a deficiency in that pleasure, and where there is deficiency, he can contemplate a different purpose than what he is feeling now. From all the above, it follows that the majority of good taste and pleasure in life are found in Torah and mitzvot. Since this is where the upper light is deposited, it is written about it in the commentary. When one is rewarded with hearing the voice of his words, the 613 mitzvot become from the word pekad and deposit. This is so because there are 613 mitzvot, and in each mitzvah light of a unique degree is deposited, which corresponds to unique organ in the 613 organs and tendons of the soul and the body. It follows that while performing the mitzvah, one draws to the corresponding organ in his body, in his soul and body, the degree of flight that belongs to that organ and tendon. This is considered the panim, the face or interior of the mitzvot. It follows that by keeping Torah and mitzvot, the purpose of creation, to do good to his creations, becomes revealed. However, he says in the commentary that this comes specifically after one is rewarded with keeping the Quran mitzvot in the form of hearing the voice of his word. But when he keeps the run mitzvot in the form of to fulfill his word before they rewarded with hearing the mitzvot are considered 18 tips or counsels, and they are regarded as the bank. It means that the upper light that belongs to that mitzvah still does not shine in them, but they are regarded as counsels by which to come to the light of the panim of the face which belongs to the mitzvah. And all the work and strengthening that one needs to overcome his desire and thought which obstruct him from going on the path of truth apply only when he is in the back in the form of those who fulfill his word. This is so because in that state he still doesn't feel the upper light that is clothed in Torah. Hence, he does everything because he believes it is a great privilege to be rewarded with engaging in Torah and mitzvot, even when he doesn't feel its importance, but does everything with faith above reason. For this is man's purpose, to achieve adhesion with the Creator, and he does everything to achieve it. As a result, he observes everything and makes great efforts wherever he can, and his sole intention is to achieve wholeness. And he sees that after all the efforts and prevailing, when he wishes to overcome the obstructors that stand against him, he is still standing on the outside, since adhesion means equivalence of form, and he still did not move an inch from self-love, which is an opposite act from adhesion with the Creator. In that state he goes to pray to the Creator to enlighten him so he can raise divinity from the dust. This means that the kingdom of heaven as she appears to a man when he wants to work only for her to disclose the glory of heaven in the world. tastes like dust in that state, and he sees that everyone is like him, disrespectful towards the glory of heaven because they cannot appreciate her importance. This is called a prayer of many, meaning that he prays for the collective. Two discernments must be made. One is called many because she contains all the souls. A prayer of many when he prays for the collective means that the collective will be rewarded with the importance of Torah and commandments, that they will be rewarded with 613 deposits that the upper light shines in each and every commandment. It follows that at the end of the day, the two discernments of many become one. This means that he prays for the public to be rewarded for the greatness and importance of Malad, who is called many, to be seen, which occurs when everyone is rewarded with vessels of bestow. At that time the 613 commandments will be revealed as in listening to the voice of his word, at which time the 613 commandments are called 613 deposits. The above mentioned means that a prayer of many is not rejected when one prays for the collective. The collective is called the whole of Israel, and the collective is called the Holy Shriner. And since the collective comprises several discernments, the Zohar says that the reason why the prayer of the collective is accepted is that there is wholeness in it. It says, quote, and the Creator crowns himself with that prayer because he rises in several manners, since one asks for another for and another for an end, quote, and we should understand why a prayer must consist of all of them. The rule is that all the discernments that we discern in spirituality are revelations that should be disclosed for the purpose of correcting the lower ones. It follows that the matter of 3 lines that we say that perfection means that the 3 lines are revealed there. It means that the Creator wishes to give to the lower ones abundance so they can use it, and there will not be any flaw there. This is not like how it was in the world of Nicodim, where the breaking of the vessels occurred because there was no correction of lines. There is the Holia says, in other words, when the upper one gives some abundance to the lower one, he wishes that the abundance that the lower one receives will benefit the lower one. But if the vessel where the abundance should go is imperfect, all the bounty will go to the external ones. This is the issue with the breaking of the vessels, that the bounty went outside of holiness. For this reason, the bounty is not poured out to the lower ones, and this is considered that the prayer was not accepted. And here comes the matter of the correction of lines in the collective. It means that the many, which is Malad, consists of the collective. In other words, there is a correction called 3 lines by which the abundance remains in Kedusha and does not go to the external ones. Hence such a prayer can be accepted, meaning that she can be given abundance. This Zohar interprets about that because Jacob consisted of 3 lines. Since Jacob is called the middle line, which includes the right and the left. This is why the Creator desired his prayer, for it is an utter completeness comprising all 3 lines, like the prayer of many. In other words, there are no delays on the part of the Creator in imparting the abundance below, since his desire is to benefit his creations. However, it is as though he waits for the vessels of reception of the lower ones to be fit for reception. Thus, when there is a proper vessel on the part of the lower one, meaning that the prayer is the vessel that is fit for reception, it must be on the condition that the abundance will not be lost, meaning that the abundance will not go out to the external ones, meaning to the Chels. This is why there is a correction on the vessel of Malat, that she should pass the abundance on to the lower ones, and this correction is called correction of lines. Now we will explain the rest of the words of the Zohar which we asked about. What it said. It writes, and because it consists of several sides and manners, it becomes a crown and is placed on the head of the righteous one who lives forever, meaning Yod, who imparts all the salvations to the Nukvar and from her to the entire public. We asked, but do we not pray to, and this what does it mean that the prayer of many becomes a crown specifically over? The thing is that the order of the imparting of the abundance that comes to Malat is called. This means that all of the first nights of give their essence to, and it is called all. It follows that we always speak from the perspective of the giver and the receiver of the abundance, who is called Malat. Thus, since the emanator wishes to bestow and waits for the lower ones to give the proper vessels for reception of the abundance. When the prayers go up, and when the prayers are arranged in such a way that is fit for acceptance, they are called a vessel for the reception of the abundance. It follows that the vessel rose to the giver, and since the general giver is considered that the prayer rose to. Accordingly, this follows the rule: the act below awakens the act above. It means that upon the awakening of the lower ones who wish to draw near to the Creator and be rewarded with adhesion with the Creator, they ask for the Creator's help. It is as our sages said, he who comes to be purified is aided. If a person comes to be purified, he is aided with a holy soul and is purified, sanctified, and he is called holy. Thus we see that when a man wishes to improve his actions, he causes a zuk, a coupling above, by which abundance is poured below. This is called raising money, meaning causing a deficiency above. But we should understand how we can say that the lower ones cause a deficiency above, and we should also know the meaning of deficiency. It is known that a clear vessel is called a deficiency, meaning that if there is a deficiency, there is room to place the filling there and fill the deficiency. There are no delays in bestowing on the part of the emanator, for his wish is to do good. The reason why we see that there is concealment of the light is because the lower ones have no vessels to receive the abundance. Hence, when the lower one awakens to purify himself, but lacks the strength, he asks the Creator to help him. Then this deficiency rises. So now the upper one has a vessel for giving him abundance. And this is called raising man. It follows that when the prayer which is a deficiency, what the lower one seeks for his deficiency to be satisfied, rises to the giver, and the giver is called, who bestows upon the assembly of Israel, called Malad. It becomes a crown on his head. This is so because a crown means ket, indicating the king's crown, meaning the importance of the king. This means that when there is the disclosure of his light, everyone recognizes the importance of the Creator. However, during the concealment of the face, divinity, the place where the king appears is called exile and dust. This is so because no taste is discerned in spirituality, but the Torah and commandments seem to taste like dust to them. And all this is because the lower ones do not have the vessels to receive the abundance, and because of that, the Creator's glory is desecrated among the nations, meaning that before a person is rewarded with the discernment of being Jewish, he is similar to the nations, as it is known that each person is a small world and consists of all 70 nations as well as of Israel. But then during the concealment, when the upper bounty cannot appear to the lower ones because they do not have the proper vessels, whatever illumination they are given will go to the shells, because of that the upper abundance had to be hidden from them. This is called, quote, the crown has fallen from our head, end quote, meaning that the importance of the Creator is desecrated. But when a person comes to purify, when he wishes for the Creator to bring him closer and give him the vessel of bestow by which to be rewarded with adhesion, all the upper bounty that will be revealed will be in order to bestow. In other words, he wishes to be given strength from above to have the ability to always be in holiness, which is adhesion. Then a crown is made of his prayer, the king's crown. Since then the importance of the king is recognized, and this is the meaning of what the Zul says, that the prayer, quote, becomes a crown and is placed on the head of the righteous one who lives forever, meaning who imparts all the salvations to the Nukvar and from her to the entire public, end quote. This is so because through prayer the upper abundance is given to the lower ones, at which time the delight and pleasure are revealed. This is called a crown, the king's crown. The importance of the king. We will now move on to the lesson from February 14, 2002. Rap. We read an article from Volume 1, from the ranks of the letter page 179, the prayer of many. What is the prayer of many? A person who for the time being in the state of the many, that he still incorporates the 70 nations as well as the quality of Israel. He has all kinds of beastly desires like everyone, but he also has some kind of a spark, the point in the heart that has awakened. So he is considered to be praying the prayer of many. Many means two for himself, but he also has something for the Creator, and so he kind of explodes. He's divided into two, and he doesn't know how and what and how to truly determine his state, so it will be the true eternal complete state. A person should understand that in general reality is not about us receiving or bestowing, giving or taking. Reality includes two states, not actions, two states. It's either the state of the created being or the state of the creator, and in that we need to choose in which stature we will be. Not the action itself to give to receive, but rather giving or receiving is something that is external. The more internal being is who we need to be should be. The choice is between being the receiver, and then the person is only the point of existence from absence. There is no more than a point. All the rest, everything that there is around the point, it all comes from the light, or out of this point. He can do one thing, only to choose to be the creator light, the creator that is all, and how to choose to be instead of this black point existence out of absence, instead of it to be the creator. The choice is in the importance that this is better, more important, greater, more eternal, whole. To choose what? When we already speak about what to choose, a person begins already to consider things. He doesn't have any way to grasp hold on to the essence of the creator himself. He already needs to choose what is better through the gap between him and the creator. And here begins already the matter of from your actions. We know you, how the actions of the creator and the actions of the person are in oppositeness of form only because of the intention in order to receive or in order to bestow. Besides that, there is no difference. Why? Because all of the actions of the person, the creator, also does them, and all the actions of the creator also does them. So, what is the difference? The difference is only in the intention that in a person these deeds that the creator invites in him, that they will be with the intention of in order to receive towards the person, and in the creator those same actions are in order to bestow also towards the person. So, the choice is actually in the stature to be either the created being or as the creator, and the actions in truth they have no value, but rather by us performing all kinds of mitzvah commandments, we compose on all kinds of desires that we have a screen in order to bestow. We have within us 613 desires. We compose on top of each and every desire a screen. We work with this desire in order to bestow. This is called acts of mitzvot or acts of mitzvot, corrections. And all in all, when we complete all of these corrections, then we also complete the work, and then we're similar to the creator, meaning to his stature, and then we no longer have any connection to these deeds of the mitzvot and these corrections that we made, but rather we rise to a degree where we are like him, and that's it. If we're talking about it, I'm trying a little bit to emphasize this point here, that the issue is the stature that we choose and to be similar. It is just a means that through all kinds of deeds we wish to become similar. It is, like the creator said the following, that you want to be similar to me, then come. For example, I will do this and those deeds so you can resemble me through these deeds. That's it. Meaning all kinds of deeds of actions that he gave us, desires that he gave us. It is simply as something through which we can become similar. Otherwise we would have no way to resemble him. We wouldn't be able to grip him. But it is only through something that is external, through our actions. We're speaking about the gap between the stature of the created being and the stature of the creator, that a person should prefer to be as a creator. So we understand that the issue with all of our work is not even in keeping the corrections. Keeping the corrections, it's a means, but rather what is most important is the importance of the stature of the creator. First of all, out of the importance of the stature of the creator, we will already have a result by what can I reach this stature? So it is by installing the screen over some desire in order to bestow a lot of that, but before everything in an abstract way, it's about his importance. This is the primary and only thing that we should work on. This is what is actually talking about, that the prayer of many is about discovering the importance of the creator, and then as a result of that, certainly I will discover forces from above, the reforming light. I created evil inclination. I created the Torah spies. All of these things will be revealed, but they will be revealed only if I truly want to reach his stature, and it's not that I want to resemble you through some action. Give me the power to perform some action. This is something that is already peripheral. It's already a result. But practically, actually, what is it that you want? I want to resemble you. I want to be like you now. By what? Through the acts of the miscommandments, by corrections over certain desires. So there's a reason why it says I created the evil inclination. He created it as a means. I created the spies of Torah, as it says that the Creator wanted to reward or cleanse Israel, to bring them to his degree. He created for them the Torah and mitzvot. This means that these things are only means by which to reach the stature of the Creator. What do I want to say by that? I said many words that we should talk about the recognition of godliness, the importance of godliness, about the stature of the Creator in an abstract way, without in order to bestow, in order to receive. This gives us all kinds of things we nonsense we hear in our ear. But by that we lose the main point, the stature, the importance, and this should be at the head of all of our plans, our actions, our speaking, our thoughts, our discussions, certainly our study, all of our efforts, all of the means, should be only towards that, to the extent that a person achieves a little bit of the feeling of the importance of the Creator. Accordingly, he's already qualified to do something, to execute something in the right direction towards the stature. This is actually, Rabash knew how to put truly many things into this article. Yes, what do you want? So what can you truly grasp when speaking about the importance of the Creator with no connection to bestow and reception? How can I grasp the importance? I don't understand. You think you're clever. They're saying if we're talking about the vessels of bestow, then I realize they're important, or the vessels of reception. They're not important. But if I speak without any connection, without any relation to the vessels, I have no way to speak about the importance of the Creator. So I'm telling you it's true that we cannot grip him, but rather only his actions, and with his actions to the extent that we will begin to recognize that these are actions in order to bestow. That's on the one hand, but on the other hand, her work should not begin with me weighing actions of bestow and actions of reception, because with that I still can't. Certainly with that I'll be mistaken. I'm not going to say that acts of bestow are good deeds, acts of reception are bad deeds. This is a lie. For me, it's the opposite of the truth, but rather I truly need to work actually in the greatness of the Creator, and how can I work on that? So he says artificially, let's say that I pay 1,000 shekels a month to people around me, that they will constantly speak about the importance of the Creator. I'm saying this seriously, and they're talking, tar dar tar, whenever I'm inside of them, I pay them, so they have to speak about that. Trust me, I will be impressed by them, and then I will truly begin to think about it. I'll begin to talk about it. I begin to want to achieve it. Do you think that if somebody is doing some advertisement about some kind of mayonnaise, I don't know, whatever they have there, so he's truly impressed by it, or a man who's 40 or 50 years old doing some advertisement about some kind of diapers, does he care about it? This one absorbs more. This one absorbs less. Do you understand? But rather what? He does it because he's paid money for it, right? So this reaches someone who has a point in the heart, right? What does it mean he has a point in the heart? He has a baby and he needs to buy diapers for this baby. So he listens, and the more you pay for this advertisement, for the radio or some means, then he listens more, and it has an effect. So is somebody in the middle. They're impressed by it. Only the one who needs to hear it. It's the same with me. I don't care. I'm willing to pay money to the guys, and that they will activate all of these advertisements over me. That's it. If your group is capable of that, then great. And if not, we will have to pay. So just simply brainwashing. Absolutely. Just brainwash. So we take other people for payment money or something else here in the group. It becomes through an exchange. They also want to hear about the importance of the Creator, so you influence them, and they influence you. So everybody plays towards each other. But if there is a point in the heart, It is impressed by what others are talking about it. That's all. And here it's all of the effort of a person to organize such an environment. This is called to choose a better environment each time. Yes, if the actor is bad, it's repulsive. If the actor is bad, it's I don't know what it means. A bad actor. Artificial. The importance of the creator one tries to reach it to say, from the heart, even though, well, your beast won't be able to tell if it's artificial or not. I'm telling you, seriously, even if he's acting, and you know he's acting, it still works on you. That's it. This is how we're built. Because we, in terms of absorbing of material, we're beasts, and a beast can tell a beast. A cow can it distinguish between good and bad, not emotionally, but intellectually. Can it tell the difference between true and false? No. Yes. But is from your actions we shall know you. From your actions we know you. The creator once at the point of existence, from absence, will resemble him by what? So he made what we call the first 9 his qualities of bestow. And he said, if you want to resemble me, make those same first 9 like I have them as I bestow to you. You should do the same towards me. Then the point in the heart, or what we call the stony heart, will eventually resemble me. That is all. By what else could I do it? There was no other reason. This is called the creator wanted to cleanse or reward Israel. He gave them plenty of Torah mitzvot. What is Torah mitzvot? The first time if you do them, you learn from the creator. From your actions we get to know you, and after we get to know you, how do we get to know you? Through equivalence of form, by me doing the same thing. And in this world, love, in this world there is no recognition of the creator. What are you talking about? This world I'm talking about what we learn that in of the creator made existence from absence. This point, at this point reach this state. First time that she feels herself as separate from the creator, then it performs the restriction. What happens then? If and after the restriction there need to be more preparations made in that point, to have preparations for the first end, to understand them, to have all the records. Then you bring that point to complete their association distance from the creator. This is called being in this world, the proper place, as he says. Now, from that place, if I feel that I'm me, and here is he, to the point where I don't even feel him. If I want to resemble him, to be like him, yes, then I have before me this option of acquiring through my own actions. If I liken myself to him, then I'm exactly like him in my actions, because in my point, my foundational point, of course I'm not like him. I'm existent from absence, and here is existence from existence. But after we perform all these actions, meaning I acquire the first 9 fields over that point, and from that point if I truly stand on it, I perform all the actions in the 9 sphere, the first 9 sphere. This means that I'm creating the vessel of the soul, and in that point itself I'm not working in it, but only in the first 9 sphere above it. Then we can say that I have likened myself to him completely 100%, and I finish the correction. What comes after that point is it's not at all, because it's not something from nothing. It inverts completely into I don't even know how to say it. There are no words here. This is after above the end of correction, right? So we need to see the Torah and commandments, and the means by which to perform, observe the Torah commandments, the state of preparation, all these things around it. We need to see them as means by which to resemble the creator. So what is the main issue? The main thing, not these means, but creating the image. Yes, likening myself to him, so I will be like him. What does it mean? How to be like him, to want for that to be important. So that is what we need to work on, and all these things are but means. So if we think about what to discuss in the group, what to do, what to think about in general, then you have this only thing that's worthwhile focusing on. It's only that, because if you start thinking in order to receive, in order to bestow this and that, and 3 lines, all those things, that is all later, and by that you'll just get confused. You'll think you're already in it, but in the discernment of importance, me and him, here you determine this very, very sharp direction, very precise direction, that it has to be aimed towards his status. Yes, even though the matter of love of friends also comes after we. What is love of friends? For what? Love of friends. It is the great rule of the Torah. Love of friends. It's simply the general correction. Is it a goal unto itself? I need to love someone. Is the purpose of creation to love someone? No, it's a means. So, what are you asking? Of course, it's a means, a powerful means, including all things but including it's inclusive only as a means for correction. But it's not that this act is the objective, the purpose what? Purpose what is there to it? If I could come to be like the Creator, without this correction of love your friend as yourself, then I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't do it. It's one of it's the great rule of the Torah, correct. It's one of the 613 commandments, the general commandment, no more. And so that's how we need to relate to it. Don't place it at the head of all things, of all the corrections. It is the most important correction, but it is a correction, a means, in a work of getting to know godliness. There are probably many stages, so what is the first stage the person should begin to work on this? Let's say, artificially. I mean, what is it? The first stage a person needs to work on is the recognition of the greatness, the godliness, meaning he needs to organize around himself everything that can help him be impressed by it, to incorporate it, nothing more. So I'm telling you, pay people to constantly manipulate you, right? Pay them. You'll pay either through exertion or with money. Make advertisements on the radio, on TV, books. Place some books in front of yourself. Various things. I have nothing more to say. Just simply, you work on your beast, such that it begins to receive this message as the most important thing. That's it. The Creator wants to do it gradually, slowly through suffering, right? He beats you, strikes you through thousands of years, so that gradually we will come to recognize that our problem comes from Him, and we need to regard Him and to see that He's the most important of all, and then to see that what's most important is not getting along with Him to feel good, to have it good, but to be like Him, and that is a long path learning through punishments. By learning through the society, one can skip all those stages completely and immediately say, that's over. See how many stages I have to go through the path of suffering until I learn, until I reach His importance. Many stages. But what? The first claim. Why is He concealed? He strikes. Let us see that He strikes us. He should show us. Then we'll know it's from Him. We'll know it's from Him. And we'll know who we need to get along with, so we won't be struck. And then you'll begin to work on not getting beaten then. This is a different purpose altogether. Not thinking about the blows, you'll start thinking about who stands behind the blows. Maybe you should relate to Him, and not just through the blows that come from Him, so to bring you to think through the blows, to think about Him, and not thinking about Him releasing you from the blows. But even if the blows come, you want to be connected to Him, despite all the punishments, all the blows you receive from Him, until you come to that. Indeed, you can see how many thousands of years of development are required, and then many more revolutions by way of suffering, even after the point in the heart. If a person doesn't take the method in both hands, it's very difficult. Through the blows, through the problems, through concealment, and the blows only strengthen the concealment, to reach a demand for Him, and not a demand for the cessation of the blows. I want Him despite being struck. Fine, let the blows come, just only so I won't forget about Him, and various other of these kinds of discernments. A person until he reaches a state where he completely doesn't notice the blows, but only holding on to the Creator and His importance. That's the important thing to him. These things need to develop very slowly through many blows and bitter situations, bitter states. It's really a piece of bread with salt you usually eat. It's a terrible kind of development, and for that reason, the Kabbalists made special corrections whereby the Laitman, it reforms one, for us to be able to, through the study, through the method, reach the same outcome in a quicker, easier manner. So how? Don't work with the blows, not working against the will to receive, not letting go of it, not being immersed in it, not conducting criticism over it, nothing. Work only on the importance of the Creator completely. Move from your court to his court. Be only there. That is called I've created the Torah as a spice as much as possible. Be connected, affiliated with close to the light. And then it is called reforming. Yes, what does he mean by the good inclination here? What does mean my desire, his desire? Or is it a special time or a time of goodwill? Is there such a thing here? It says here that my prayer is a time of goodwill. Where is it written? In what context? A time of will. I know the verse in the first page 279, said in the name of fishermen. What is it that it says? And my prayer to you, Lord, is a time of goodwill. When is it a time of goodwill? When the public praise? Yes. When is it a time of will? Yes. He says, when the public praise. Then it is a time of will. It's the condition for it. What is the public? All of a person's desires. If they come to this one decision that they need this one thing, and they all gather to attain that goal, that is called a time of will. So what are you asking? I'm asking about it. This desire, is it the desire of the Creator? Is it my desire? Or in a person there are two desires. The public, that is two, right? Two is already plural. The smallest group you could say is the 70 nations of the world. That's one desire. And the other desire is the desire of Israel. If both want to attain one thing, yes, and it could be the Creator. It couldn't be anything else, because the point in the heart does not give up. Right, then you can say that there is uniform prayer, the prayer of many. What is the difference between the importance of the Creator and the greatness of the Creator? What is the difference between the importance of the Creator and the greatness of the Creator? Truth be told, I don't know what to say, what to tell you rather this. These are things that a person measures, each time according to his impressions, meaning each time according to how much power it gives him to continue on the path. It's actually us measuring. I can't measure him. I can measure him to the extent that to the extent of the weight of the bag that I can carry for him, the suitcase. That's it. It depends on the weight of the suitcase. I see him. He's 5 m tall. So I can carry up to 20 kg for him, and I can carry it 100 m. If he's 500 m tall, then 30 kilos and a kilometer. So I measure according to my ability to serve him, and then I can say if he's more important, greater, less great. It's all with respect to the impression in my vessels. Now, what is the difference between greatness and importance? These are types of impressions which are very close to each other. Greatness, that speaks of how I measure him, how I gauge him. Importance, that's about how I receive his importance, his greatness rather, and measure him towards or in comparison with the greatness of all the other things in me, the extent to which he becomes important for me. That's in comparison with all other things that are important to me. You understand? Let's say you are 10 m tall. In my eyes, this gives me the feeling of your greatness. The feeling of your greatness gives me the feeling of your importance compared to all the other things I have. So I want to do something for myself, and here you say no, do something for me, and then I begin measuring one opposite the other. This means that I can discern the importance. Should a person be envious of the Creator to want to be like him? Should a person be envious of the Creator and be like him towards the Creator? There is no envy, because the recognition of the Creator comes together with the recognition of his humility, and the recognition of the humility within the person according to equivalence of form. So there's no envy. You don't envy the stature of the Creator. There cannot be negative kind of envy. You cannot envy the Creator's status in a negative way. You can only yearn to be like him. But of course, in the person there exists all the desires which, how to say, for using the Creator for one's own enjoyment, that of course exists. That is the desire of Pharaoh, meaning that divinity will serve me. That's we want. Why not? Anything that you can think of in order to receive. Well, who is it that you want to use him in the shell? Of course, you want to rebel against him. You want to use him. You want to rule over him. Of course, if I was certain now that nothing bad will come to me if I grab him and exploit him 100% for my own enjoyment, under my full control, and I will never, God forbid, pay for it later dearly. Right, if it comes out that I'll pay for it, I wouldn't do it. But what then? Oh, I'm so good. I'm so nice. What? How can we be concerned? And in a society, there will be a desire to anal before him more than to be like him, more than to get hold of him. The truth is it doesn't matter. The importance of the Creator starts from if it's through blows that I depend on him. Each and every blow that comes to me comes from him. So, first of all there's this usual fear of this world, and fear of the next world, as he tells us in the end of the introduction to the book of Soha there. In the ways of the Torah is already, that is first of all, so his importance I attain, primarily, with respect to everything that I appreciate in my vessels of perception. I see that he rules over me completely, utterly, and the whole world completely, under his governance, so I have no choice. I surrender, you are important. Yes, but if a person comes through the recognition of this importance only, the recognition of this importance and that's it, he can despair, he can leave the wisdom of Kabbalah, the path of advancement, and completely forget about how the Creator rules over everything, because it completely removes him from this life. So then, he'll try to find such a society in which he can forget about it, and he works. If life is good for him, if life treats him well, then he'll forget about it completely. Live like a beast, at least he won't suffer. But if things don't work out for him, if the Creator still reminds him of himself, then his life passes until poor man dies. There are many such people. I see it on what happened. He left us. He went to America, and there he has no peace. Either he wants to be related to Kabbalah. Well, leave already. Come on. But you wanted to succeed. Go succeed. No, you see, poor man. So, you see it's still a bad situation. This is why we need to see, and it's a problem, and it's very important that to the extent that I begin to understand that the Creator controls everything, I also need to recognize his greatness, to appreciate him, in that he rules over everything, and then I will have pleasure in this, that thank God he rules over everything. And then I will advance in two lines together, and I will not have to spare. But on the contrary, every time more trouble and more blows appear to me, I discover that he is the important, the eternal, the great one. He does everything. Thank God. Then I already feel good because it's from him. You understand? So working on the greatness of godliness, the importance of godliness, comes first, and accordingly, everything else may be revealed. It doesn't matter anymore. It will always be revealed in a way that is supportive of advancement. I will not be thrown out. I will not become depressed. I will not quit. So it could be that the fact that he's great and he's in control, that's great. Is there an issue with that? The fact that he's great and controls these things should appear in me. Together, the fact that he's important, that he's good and does good, positive from him and negative from him, should come to me at once. Both at once. What is negative from him? In my feeling. What is positive from him? In the intellect. In the feeling I get blows. Great, I suffered a blow, and in with the intellect I see that it comes to my benefit. It comes from him, who is great. But again, we don't need to work on the blows. We need to work only on the importance. Let's finish with this. How from the Creator being bestow and giving, he's still controlling us. How does it work? How? By him giving in, by him being in, bestow and giving, he still controls us. It's if it's inappropriate. Aren't you Polish by chance? You know there's this term Polish, mother. So what can you add? What can we add to that? You know she suffocates, smothers the child with her love and poor him. So if the Creator, by being good and does good, wants to bring us to that goodness, he uses all kinds of revelations of the good who does good toward us to show us that the good and does good that he wants to give us is still not in us, and this is what we feel as suffering. I prepared for you all the good things, which are things that are really good for you. Yeah, milk and an egg, soup, a piece of chicken, all kinds of things, and all you want is candy. What am I going to do with you? So now I have to show you the blows. In what? In that you don't want milk and eggs and fish and meat, healthy things. So that's what he does. So the revelation of the blows is the revelation of the good, but in the opposite way, because it's not in us. So from him only good comes out. If our vessels are opposite from him, then they feel bad. Invert your vessels. You'll feel his bestow directly. This is why it's called direct light. How do we do it? Through reflected light. So it's a state that when we move away from him, we feel the control. It's not moving away. It's oppositeness of the vessels. I'm not near or far from him, if you can put it this way in terms of distance. My vessels, the more they are suitable for his direct bestowal, are called closer. The more they are incompatible, well, it's called farther. That's it. It's not the regular control. It's because we are moving away. So it's control in education. This is how he educates us. Not beastly control. A different control. No, in corporality too. I did this with my son more than once. If I want him to think like me, then I play a trick on him so he would understand that if he continues thinking the way he does, he'll be in trouble. He'll have a problem. And then I gradually have to build that system where he himself discovers that thinking like me is the best thing. Well, if you build education in this way, this is education, the rest is oppression. And this is not oppression because he develops, he evolves, he understands by himself from the result the root and reaches the root. It's very hard to build it. I couldn't. Don't think about me this way. But now I understand. At that time I don't remember it. It was after being 5 years with, I think you already went to Canada. It was 75, maybe 85. Then, these things were not in my control really, the whole system. He says that he's going to bestow the greatness of the Creator. There are a lot of means. There's convincing, advertising. We have a lot of means. One of them is the books where we really absorb the wisdom from what the copyists wrote. If a person studies, so there's all kinds of types. There's Chamarti. You will see that all the books talk about only one thing, only about that. Doesn't matter which book. It doesn't matter, and it doesn't even matter nothing. You read articles, letters, it doesn't matter what. The problem is that what we read. We read texts that were written in previous generations when that thing was concealed. Even today it's covering, revealing one portion and covering two portions. That still remains. It's only on a different dimension, and you don't feel where it exists. It's as if we can talk about everything, but as much as we may talk about everything, you will discover later that twice, 2 times as much is concealed. And what is 2 times as much? It's not like it's twice as much. It's there. But that point of importance of godliness and working on it. If now you know, you simply heard it. Now open all the articles and the letters and you'll see that he writes only about that point. Only about that, because everything else is how to do it, how to reach it. Let's share impressions from the lesson and what from it we're taking to implement in the 10. In the lesson, I've said that the most important is to build the image of the Creator, that I will be like him, how to do it, how to be like him, to want it to be important. It was even surprising that it's called Prayer of the Many, and he said that means to discover the greatness of the Creator. The emphasis that the goal has to be the state of the Creator, the gap between his state and the created being state, and we always talk about it, that love of friends. That's all means. But first we have to start from the goal. The prayer of many is a prayer that a person prays for the many, and this is for this we have to first of all have the importance of the Creator. Importance of the Creator. That was the point that we're suckling from. All the success of the prayers, if the deficiency develops. So it's from that, from the importance of the Creator. Yeah, it repeated itself, gave many practical examples we can work with. Among others, I wrote, he emphasized that how we need to concentrate on the importance of the Creator, not to work with the blows, not to work against the will to receive, to be there to relate to. This aspect of creating the Torah as a spice to be close as possible to the light. And this is called reforming. Yeah, I've talked about the greatness of the Creator, where it has to be expressed by our prayer of the many, that if we prepare the vessel, in the right way, like Bash explained in the article we just read, that those deficiencies that man prepares in order to receive it from the upper one, it all has to be expressed again by crowning its efforts that the Creator is the one who is in this. So also bestowing also prayer to the lower one will be whole, and that abundance will really be for the lower ones. I heard a precision that constantly pressed on during the lesson. It is that what should motivate us is not love your neighbour as yourself, love of friends, all the means, but the goal is the status of the Creator. So we have to work on the importance of the status of the Creator in the society. So each one pays with labour or money to the environment, and they give us the light. We have to work only on that. Yeah, only that, and to understand that the great reward is to engage in. By that you reach above reason. There you discover that it's a person's purpose. In order for that to be right, we have to make many efforts to reach adhesion. Yeah, the direction that talked about. Love of friends is a means, but to it we move. Invert our vessels. I've said if we invert our vessels we will feel the direct influence. Yeah, that also of friends is the means, but eventually we pay with all these means. We pay with our exertion to reap the recognition of the greatness of the Creator. I'm left with a question about the status of the Creator that I've talked about today. If they're the same thing, and the freedom of choice we have is to use society, the environment, the 10 that they will give me importance and greatness of the Creator. Yeah, all the help comes from there. From, as I've said, I even pay them in order for them to give me this place, holiness, where I can increase and be dependent on the importance of the Creator, that from there I can create the prayer exactly, and the way He relates to the attitude we have to give to this abundance to reach at. That brings us back to the prayer and to the efforts that we need to do in order to come out of ourselves. We had one lesson with love, and part of the second lesson, in his own words, explained all of preface. So let's and do a little overview of what we've gone through until now, so we will know how we continue. And the Creator creates the will to receive, and then that desire receives all the light and develops in both the will to bestow with the will to receive, until it wants to receive all the light from itself, and sees in it that it also wants the Creator, and sees how opposite it is from the Creator. Here he discovers how opposite he is from the Creator, because with his own will he wants to receive all the light of himself. The light doesn't end. In every phase 1 receives the light. It's not over. It wants to be similar to the giver. Is it over? It's not over. How does he want to be like a giver? He also wants to receive and give pleasure to the host, so to the giver. So what does he discover in the end? He finds out, now I'm receiving a little bit in order to give content, to give pleasure to the giver. But what do I want to receive? A little bit or receive all of it? So he decides, I want to receive everything, but I want it because the giver created me this way, and I have to receive everything. And here he discovers that he's receiving everything and wants also the status of the giver. And here he discovers shame, because in the Creator there's no S in the giver. There's no such thing as we learned about the guest and the host. There's no such thing. And then he decides, because of the shame, I'm not using this quality of receiving everything, because I'm not similar to the giver. So then what? Then he gives back all the light. He returns it, and that's the world of Tsum restriction, where he doesn't want to receive anything until it is in order to bestow. Not in his own quality. In his own quality he doesn't use, but all the light that he had is in there is made of all the previous phases and contains them. But now there's a desire only to the extent that I discover the giver, I will use the light. So the reflected light, meaning she has to be emptied of the light that is in the will to receive, emptied from it. Once she is emptied, the desire remains, and then the reflected light that she returned to the Creator, she didn't want to use it, becomes a vessel, a new vessel for perception of the light, and in that vessel she receives direct light, returns it every time, and now calculates how much pleasure can I give to the host, so it would be pleasurable. She calculates, but she still doesn't receive. This is called head. Now she decides I do receive, but only with the intention. If the intention is to bestow, she checks and receives in with all the phases. First she receives in all the phases that are in her first time. This is called Garler. What does she discover after she received all the light that the host wants to give her all the light? How much did she receive? Only a very thin light, as much as she could receive in order to bestow. So then what happens? A clash. The host that I want to give pleasure to wants to give me all the light. This is called surrounding light, because I still didn't receive it. I received only a little bit, and by this I gave content pleasure to the host, or I received only a little. So what stops me? Phase 4 itself. Phase 4, I cannot use. So what happens? A clash of inner light with surrounding light, and that's revealed only in the goof. The body of the whim begins to receive in. She only calculates how much can I, but she didn't check it. Here, she begins to receive into the box. She sees that the surrounding light wants to enter, and only in the taboo, the navel. After she receives all the light, she feels that she cannot make remain in that state, because the purpose of the landlord is to give all the light. How much pleasure did I give him? Only a little bit. So what stops me? For that wants to receive for itself. Here I placed our S and end. I don't want to receive. So that clash leads me to not want to use phase 4. This is called garter, not wanting to use phase 4 its own coarseness, and then its coarseness becomes refined with the clothing of the light that the landlord wants to place in. The desire that I received remains. This is what the host wants. I don't want to use my phase 4, but what the creator gives me, what the host gives me, I do want to use it, and that creates up what is in. We have a light of clothing which the creator, the landlord, wants to give, but I don't have. Phase 4 only 3 remains, so that serves as the female to the male light. The male light cannot expand into the poo, because there is no phase 4 anymore. There's only phase 3. Now there's clothing and reception interface 3, and then up comes out. What do we have in our? He needs to be independent in the end. He cannot use the male. He uses it, this clothing, and calculates, but not calculation on phase 4. This is called the Mac, the screen, descending to the, because he doesn't use all of phase 4. He cannot create, give reflected light up to Keter, but only up to then he receives, etc., etc. This is how the world of Adam is built from 5. Depending on the coarseness that there is there, we can continue, because that's the whole of the preface that explains. But after we have this overview, now what are we going to do? Now we will watch the lesson by Gandhi. Gave us a short repeat on what we went through and where it's going to develop towards. The main thing is when we study it, it's very emotional. It's not just technical things. It's not plumbing or something or weird names, but it's exactly with the same excitement that I hear the word mallet. I know that it's in my heart. Something moves, something departs, something comes, and we're considering our endless inspiration. So let's watch lesson. I'm going to repeat. It has 5 desires. With the screen, I divide it and say I can take 20% of each desire and 80%. I can't receive it in every desire. 20% of all desires, I call that. And the 80% of all desires, I call it the ending. I just drew it side by side, and here it's above and below. So the part of the coarseness of the root, I have it also in the right here. And the same part of the coarseness of the root that I can't receive is in the clear. So the screen that receives the light inside first, it stands at the pen and says I'm not going to receive anything. Then when it decides to receive, it starts descending from the pit a bit more and a bit more and a bit more until it stands at the table. The screen that was at the pit and didn't let it in. It's like a pump now. It goes down and down and down. It lets the light go inside. So now that we have the striking of the 2 lights, it's called the beating of the inner light and the external light. This screen starts refining and says I don't want to receive anything. So it just pushes the light outward from phase 4, then 3, then 2, then 1, and then from the root. Just like this pushes them out. The entrance of the lights into the poo is called the expansion. The departing of the lights from the puff is called the departing of the lights. Expanding and departing. Get used to it. I make those mistakes with the letters sometimes. So the screen descended from, yes. First it descended by this, the light is expanding, and then by the coupling by striking it, decides that it's completely going to depart. So it pushes the light out by sending back from tab. This action is called the departure of the lights. Departure from reception or from the lights from the screen. It's not that the screen is penetrate. It can't penetrate. No, there is no half. Soon we'll learn that. There is some kind of state, a bit more of an addition for the screens. It's a completely different B. It'll never be something in the middle. If the light fills phase for in the then, they mix together. The light fills all four phases. The mass descends to the level of taboo. The screen descends to the level of taboo. We drew a state that the screen gets part of the light and part it doesn't. If it would get all the light, it would have to send it all the way down, so it stops at certain point. Now let's draw it in a different way. The same process. What I recommend is that when you at home, you start drawing it to get used to drawing it. Without it, it's impossible. That was all part of the development. Like we said, from the creator came the light, created phase 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Then in phase 4, she did a restriction. This one was filled. This one restricted. Then was the screen. And now we're drawing this phase for. Just like here, again, I'm coming back to that same puff. It has a rush, a pull, and seal. The light enters. Inside, it's called inner light, fills the boat. This is a screen. Now let's write the names. Instead of route 1, 2, 3, 4, we're not going to use that anymore. Their names, Bin, Serin, and Malat. This is same thing here, and the same thing, and at the. Then what did we talk about? After the restriction, she gets some light inside. She decides as much as she receives. So, it's let's say 20%. So there's a light that comes, decides, and receives those 20% of the light. This sort of reception is called Galar. What happens next? There was this beating of the two lights on the screen called Primimaki for the inner light and the surrounding light. And the screen decided I can't receive the light anymore, and then it starts refining. It returns to its place. The expansion from P to taboo is called an expansion, and the returning of the screen from taboo to is called refining or departure. Why? Because it becomes more refined. It doesn't want to receive anymore and returns to the state it wants. Then we have the same as it was. Only the taboo isn't there anymore. Simple empty. This is the, and this is the goof. Just as it was here after the first. Restriction, same thing. This is the first state before the coupling by striking in the wash. This is the second state while the coupling by striking the fulfillment. This is the third state while it emptied. 3 states. First after the first restriction, then it filled itself by 20% and emptied itself. And this filling of in those 20% that she did, this is called meaning, is already filled with that 20%. And when it filled itself with these 20%, it didn't disappear. She can let go of this action, but this state remains in reality. She already received those 20% in order to bestow. She already did this action towards the Creator. She already resembles the Creator in part of her. In this part, she resembles the Cremator. She receives in order to give to him, and he gives to her in order to give to him. By this they are equal. Meaning here from the petal the table, there's a tension and a unity between the Creator and the created being. In this part is on the degree of the Creator. How can you say that that part? Yes. Part. No. But. Sort of. After she emptied herself, she says this. Before me, there was a big desire. A big, very big pleasure. So I went all the way. That's called the 4th degree or Keter. Maybe I'll go on a smaller pleasure. Let's say that'll be phase 3 or the degree of. Then maybe it'll be less of an issue. I can add a bit more in order to be still. I'll do it. Why does that? What is it like? I have 5 meals before me, but I start eating the meat as much as I can in order to bestow. That's the only thing I'm doing. This is called that I'm choosing this. Bestow. I'm done. That's it. Now I see. Well, I can't, but I have an ability to take a bit more than that. Fish, so I'll try and bestow a bit with the fish to the landlord according to That same depiction we talked about that example. So he takes the fish. How? If he was divided in those 5 parts, in the and in the. So now he takes a less of a portion than before, meaning he has to lower his screen and not work with all the 5 parts, but only with 4. So his screen from the previous state descends from a lower degree from ket to and on this degree from here to here. All in all he has a, and he makes a calculation here how much he can receive, and then he receives an order to bestow till the taboo of the next. This is called the goof. This pot that was born after Gulgulter is called. Afterwards we'll learn why. It also received, let's say, 15%. As opposed to Golgar, the process is not clear. Well, I can't stop now. If I stop now, it won't be 10 lessons, it'll be thousands. I kind of explains what happened. No, the last process. The last process is that receives less than Galarter. So, it supposedly descends to a lower degree. If this is the P, so the P of R is lower. I'll later draw it nicely. He also receives an order to bestow, and also there is a prim striking of the inner and external lights, and also it decides that it refineses just like in Gala. Then it decides if Keter, meaning I couldn't work with the meat and I can't eat the fish in order to bestow, maybe I'll try some salad. That the green descends again in a lower degree than before and performs a coupling by striking. Checks how much he can receive from that salad in an even lesser degree in order to bestow, let's say 10%, in order to be still received. And again there's a striking of the inner and external lights on the screen, and the screen refineses again. Each one of those is a, yet the first one is then ab, and the third is called sag, and he also refineses from the same reason. So again he thinks, maybe now I'll go on an even lesser degree. What's less than salad? Coffee. So he calculates how much he can drink what coffee in order to bestow to the host. This will be the lush, this will be the goof, and received in order to bestow, let's say 5. Compared to the previous pleasures again, and refineses, and also thinks, well, after this all I'm left with except for the coffee, let's say water. A cup of water, I'll drink it with the host. Same process. Let's say here there's 2% of pleasure, and here it ends. Why? Because the screen has reached the taboo of the first. This portion is called Mar and this one is called Bon. All in all, 4 3 2 1 root. The screen that was in Mal of the greatest one on phase 4. Now refined and refined and refined until 0. This action that now we have went through is called the refining of the screen. All in all, the refining of the screen. The screen that received all its intensity, all its forces, from being filled in the light, and it filled the creator, filling it, and then wanted to do the same action. That gives him the intensity of the screen to do as much as he can also, and return towards the host. Everything we talked about. Now this whole process, use the screen the same force from before until it reached 0. From 0 to turbo basically, yet with no forces to bestow with. Now all he can do is just stand still, stop himself and not do anything. He still has no forces to draw anything from the host in order to bestow. Not water, not coffee, not anything. I can just stand there before you and remain in that way. I'm sorry, but I don't have any forces to resemble you, meaning to receive anything. At that point, he meets the 20% that are full. All these things remain. According to the diagram, it seems like the screen now stands on the table. Again, the screen finished all the work. It got 15, 10, 52%. It's considered we received, but there's still a lot more to receive. These 5 that come out after the first restriction, those 5 portions that, after the restriction, receives in order to bestow. These 5 are called the world of Adam. That's its name. It has nothing to do with Adam. That's just its name. The world of Adam. It's the first world that came out from. These 5 are the names. How? Again, we can call it root 1, 2, 3, 4, or against that we have the parts of him. Gala, A, Sag A, Mar, and Bon. It's the same thing. There's no difference between them, and you can easily, in the wisdom of Capel, replace these names for these. Instead of I can say phase 1, now. So, here we can speak about coarseness, meaning the desire. We'll talk about it soon. Now I'll draw it in a nicer way. Are you trying to go? No? You gave up already. Okay, I'll do it in a minute. Let's do it together from the big wall. You need to draw it dozens of times until you start seeing the relation between things. Get used to drawing. So, the first part called gala, from beginning to end very long. This is its row. Mouth, that's the massage the screen. The navel, end, or interior and also end. The light, that is here. That light is called inner light. The light that comes from the outside on the screen is called omif surrounding light. That's it. It becomes refined up to the P and comes down 1 degree. At degree below the P less, then P is called chest. And here in this place, it becomes the P of a different when you want. It's from the of garter up to the P of galarter. That's the, and it's two and together are up to the taboo of galar. We can extend the tab of go out all. The way this far up to that point is its goof, and that is called abs. And in it too, we have the clash of inner and surrounding, and it becomes refined. By the way, it also divides into 5 parts, and in it too there's a descent. And the pay of the next is in the, and here too we have the of the from the to the pay of just as it was. With respect to gegelter in this poo we have, I'll draw the coupling by striking here. This puzzle will be called S, and it also expands down to the taboo knot below afterwards. We'll learn why it's cough, and it also becomes refined. It also, the screen descends, then the screen descends to its, and this is the P, the next part. And here is it, right? This is the row, and this is the goof. This bottle of is called mar. It too becomes refined, and here it comes down all the way to the taboo. It's got only a rush, and this is called bon. Doesn't have a goof. Bon equals no goof, no body. Each of them we can call or, and how much do these? Fem is the goof of gad, right? So they fill it. We will learn later exactly why and how they fill it only from the beginning up to the taboo. And all those vessels, this whole part of Mahov, remains empty. In other words, the purpose of creation has not been reached, cannot fill itself completely. Only this, the light also comes out from this. The exit of the light is like in the process. Is there an entrance and exit in everyone? We will learn it in a minute. Are you asking correctly? Just raise your hand. He's smart. He's clever. He doesn't look like that, but he is clever. What else does he want to ask? We have processes in each. Let's take any, it doesn't matter which. What is this light called? Inner light. This inner light that enters. In itself, it is inner light. It is light that, the taste, the flavour it gives to the vessel, the pleasure it gives to the vessels is called tastes or flavours. Tastes, the light that leaves the vessel and says I don't want to be inside because I don't have a sufficient screen. So I can stay this way, meaning a light that feels the weakness of the vessel. These lights that exit the vessels are called nekod dots. Nekod dots. Why are they called nekod? Because malhud is called dot. Black dot. Black dot. That's what she is called. And here, they feel its limitation. How limited it is how much she cannot that she cannot receive anymore because of her darkness. So that blackness that is in it, the inability to keep receiving within her, is called black dot in the light. And then the departure of the lights, because of the weakness of that black dot, is called, because of it, nikot dots. The expansion of the light in the is called dam. The departure of the light from the is called dot. Damniot. We said that each state remains as it was. In other words, instead of this galar, the empty galar, then dalgarter receives, then gala becomes empty, right? When it is emptied of the lights, we can talk about any part if we want, any state we want. It's as if we stop the film and say we're talking about this, about that. All those things exist simultaneously, but it's as if we can get in at each phase and look at it. So galar, that is filled now inside, that stage is called, that is emptied is called. I don't know how to draw it, that it's emptied, say that the lights exit, from it exit right. So it is called nekud dot. And this is the first restriction. Afterwards, we have another pot, which is completely empty. just as before the entry like in first restriction. But the difference is that she doesn't have lights. But what is the difference between, let's say this is state 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so in first state it was before the reception of the light. In the second, she receives light. In the second, she receives lights. In the third, she becomes emptied, and in 4, she remains empty. What's the difference between 4 and 1? That here you still have records that remained, that was that there was light in it that came and filled it, and there was also light that departed from it. These two lights of expansion and departure left records a memory of it. So the record from the expansion of the light in it is called tagin, and the record from the departure of the lights is called letters. Is tags is letters or vessels. And likewise in each and every, let's say sac in the middle, these lights that expand in it are called, when the lights depart from it they are called. The records that remain after everything is emptied. The records in it are called text from the tam, and the records from the nekot are called. In other words, we have lights that expand and depart. The records from are called, the records from are called. So, when we have a letter like if, any letter you know according to the laws, you have a tag below it, you have some sign mark together with all kinds of punctuation marks. These are all the signs. These are signs of spiritual objects over its entire state. Who it is in itself. What is its nature? What light filled it? Meaning, we can say what screen it had, what desire it had. H2. What extent it filled itself with screens, with lights, at what spiritual level it is, and how it is emptied, and what remains of it. Give us all the information about the spiritual object, the spiritual state. So a letter with all that is in it, where thoughts above and below, you have on top, you have inside, you have below, or you have all kinds of light crowns, which are called tags, flavors, tastes, which we don't know. It's very concealed in the book of Torah. We don't quite know how to read them. We will learn about it, and the letters themselves. From here we will go on and see how these letters, these combine into words. What makes a word this well? In the meantime, we need to understand where this term letter comes from. A letter is a sign of the state of the spiritual, what the spiritual object, what state it is in. From this we can understand what a name means. Yes, meaning what degree of a soul. When a soul takes up a certain spiritual degree, so according to the spiritual degree, how much screens it has, how much inner and surrounding lights it has, what state it is in with them, this whole state builds our name. This is why it is they were called Mush Abam, Yaakov, etc. This is why changed the name. You change your name, you change your fortune, you change your place, etc. We'll talk about that too. This is basically what I wanted to say. Okay, so, as you can see, it's a course. It's not just a lesson, it's a quick course. For the preface of the Wisdom of Kabbalah, it's very compressed, puts a lot of material in there. You see, that thick marker he uses, do you remember that? What was drawing with it was its a scanner. It remained as a picture. We had that system in order to keep all those drawings. I hope we can restore it. So what do we do now? Now let's have a simple exercise. Let's say 3 minutes every 10. Make sure that every friend has a small drawing of the 5 simple 5 squares, one under the other. You don't have to add the tanter and all that. You don't need that. 5 squares, lines, and afterwards, whoever can add some arrows between them, the refinement of the screens. Okay, take 3 minutes, and every 10 make sure the friends have it. So help each other. Whoever finds it difficult, it's very important because we got a spiritual message. So we want to check how much we received, and from let's try to draw it the way Betsy said. Taste so much. You can also give what you drew to a friend, so he will complete what you drew. Shima, did you draw it already? You did. Good. However, as the writings of you can open the book of the in page 370. There are also drawings that can help. Those are the drawings of Balaam. In the meantime, friends, if you have questions, you can ask. Switch on question marks until we finish the exercise and start us answering this. We have a question. Why does expand only to the taboo? All the other spread to the table and only has table, because in the drawing in the lesson he wrote goof next to each one of the lines of the other poem except for Galar. Very good question. Why doesn't the light expand below a taboo of garter? That's what you're asking. We need to learn another thing from it. Taboo of Galar is where the Galar can receive the light, right? Because beyond it there's already desires of the S, where she cannot receive lights. But what is with respect to Galar? This we need to learn that it's a result. Like an offspring born from a father, Gala engenders the next part from the records it has. So if Galar itself couldn't use its desire, how would it give to the child to work with those records that are below? We learned that all these discernments, root 1, 2, 3, 4 are in the of the as well, in the interior. So what happens is that from the top of the Galar engenders the son who can use it in that come down. That's a different story. We will learn it separately, but here, as I've explained to us the world of Arc, here it expands only above taboo. Taboo is the boundary where the light enters, because if Garter cannot receive the light more, and certainly Sagma and Bonu cannot receive. Thank you. Oh, we have many questions. So here let's see. Friends, from where do the records come out in this process? The records we get as a result of the departure of the lights, the refinement of the screen. So as we saw, the full structure called. We also have records from the expansion of the light and the desire, and records from the departure of the light. Two phenomena that we have records from this and from that. It's called. Those are the records from the Tam. And then afterwards we have the records from themselves. What is the reason for the departure of the lights? The reason for the departure of the light, as I've explained in the lesson, is that Galarta received the light inner light. Until she started receiving the inner light, she had it in the rush. So in the rush she wants only to bestow. Now in the goof she begins to check, can I really bestow? She receives all the lights. And then, so now you're asking, why did she stop receiving? Right, why did she stop receiving? She felt that the light the host wants to give all the light, he doesn't want to give only the tiny part. She received relative to the infinity that wants the giver. So she decides, and what's the reason she cannot receive? The stuff of the is still not ready to receive. So she decides not to use that state, because she stops all the light of the host. Right, she stops it. So she decides to become refined from all this coarseness and not use it, because that stops the light. I cannot give pleasure to the host because it stops the light. This is why the refinement of the light came, and she generates a new part of Benny. Who did you want? 11 please. Thank you, dear teachers. Called those 5 parts of fame. He also called them by the names. In the diagram, we see that they seem to develop. They become smaller as they develop. But these 5 phases, distinct from each other. Where do we see this difference in the diagram? Reception, bestow. Receiving in order to bestow. Where do we see it in the diagram? Yeah, you're right. Because actually, every has a quality to it. This is the of, this is the of, and they each behave differently. So in the drawing, we don't see the exact differences between each one, only when we go deep into the structure of, and when we learn about Sag, that has been so, the light can also go below the taboo because of the special structure of that, and its quality. Only when we go deeper into the actual structure we can talk about its qualities. So that's it. Dear friends, in the first part of the lesson, we will learn a lesson by Rav from the February 14, 2002. It is based on the article, The Importance of a Prayer of Many. You can find it in Hebrew on page 225 in the volume 1. We will read the article together. We have 30 minutes for that. The importance of the prayer of many. It is written in the Zohar. Come and see. Rabbi Shimon said a prayer of many rises before the Creator, and the Creator crowns himself with that prayer because it rises in several manners. One asks for Adam, another for Ot, strength, and another for mercy. It consists of several sides. The right side, the left side, and the middle. And because it consists of several sides and manners, it becomes a crown and is placed on the head of the righteous one, who lives forever. meaning yes, who imparts all the salvations to the Nukvar and from her to the entire public. Come and see. Jacob consisted of all 3 lines. This is why the Creator desired his prayer, for it was an utter completeness of all 3 lines, like a prayer of many. This is why it is written, when Jacob was very much afraid and distressed, since the Creator made it this way for him, so that he would pray because he craved his prayer. We see in the words of the Zohar that it interprets a prayer of many as a single person, saying that Jacob consisted of all 3 lines. But in all the places where it writes about the prayer of many, it literally means that many pray, as our sages said. Rabbi On said in the name of Rabbi Shammai, "Why is it written, and my prayer is a time of goodwill unto you, Lord?" When is it a time of goodwill? When the many pray. This means that many pray together literally. Also, we should understand what the Zohar says, that a crown, the prayer becomes a crown placed on the head of the righteous one who lives forever. What does it mean that it becomes a crown on the head? A crown means the crown of the king, like the crown of kingship. And what does it mean that the prayer becomes a crown on his head? What makes us understand the importance? What does it let us understand about the importance and greatness of a prayer? Since he wishes to reveal to us the importance of the prayer, he tells us, known that the prayer becomes a crown for the king. It says that it is called, and that it gives all the salvations to the Nukvar, and from her to the entire public. We should understand why the crown is made specifically on, since it is known that we prayed to soft. So what does it mean that the prayer of many becomes a crown specifically on, and also why does it say that imparts to the Nukvar and from the to the public? Explained the matter of a prayer of many. As a person praying for the many, this is called a prayer of many. This is why a prayer of many is called a time of goodwill. When a person prays for himself, he has slanderers who question whether his prayer is truly worth accepting or not. But when he prays for the public, it becomes irrelevant to scrutinize him and see if he is prayworthy of his prayer being answered, since he's not asking for anything for himself, but only for the public. This is why it was said that a prayer of many is called a time of goodwill, and his prayer is accepted. And according to what is explained in several places in the Psalm commentary, the prayer of many relates to Malat, who is called the Assembly of Israel, or the Holy. She is called many because she contains all the souls. And since the Shekinah is in exile, and we ask about the exile of the Shekinah, which is sometimes called the Shekinah in the dust, since all of those names indicate to us the content of the purpose of creation, which was in order to do good to his creations. And it is known that for him to reveal the perfection of his deeds, there was the first restriction. This means that in a place where there is only a vessel called receiving, in order to receive, the upper bounty will be hidden from that place. The abundance comes only to a place where it is possible to aim in order to bestow. And since by nature man is born only to receive, in that place where he sees his receiver, called self-love cannot receive. Instead, he must do everything for divinity, meaning for malhood. For only by that will the Creator's glory appear in mood. This is so because only when the Creator can appear to the lower ones will his glory be seen. It was written that the place where the dweller appears is called dwelling or divinity.